Patrick Smith is an editor at Africa Confidential. Earlier, I asked him who was likely to take control of Zimbabwe and what that would mean for the country's future.
Well, they're intervening because it's a power struggle between the President Mugabe's faction and that of his wife and the original liberation fighters like Constantino Chiwenga, who announced the military intervention on Monday. And this is a power struggle between the elites, leaving somewhat a bemused public in Zimbabwe, but they seem to be, on all accounts, heartily glad that the regime of Robert Mugabe has finally ground to an end, even if they harbor doubts about the sustainability now of a political process to bring them true democracy and accountability in government.
If Mugabe is under house arrest, who's running the country since the military says it's not a coup?
Well, the military is saying it's not a coup simply because in Africa, we have very strict rules about coups. And if you run a coup in Africa, you are expelled from the African Union, and you'd also be expelled from the Southern African Development Community, which is the local regional economic grouping. So they're going out of their way to say this isn't a coup. And I think the plan is that in a couple of weeks, there'll be elections within the ruling party, and sacked Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa will come back and will stand as leader, and then he will be the civilian head of a transitional regime. And through that mechanism, they will be seen to have avoided the nomenclature of coup makers or putschists, and they won't get thrown out of the African Union.
And what would the country look like under Mnangagwa?
Mnangagwa has a pretty heinous human rights record, very much like other dictatorial leaders in the world. Has abused human rights, has fixed elections, and until a week ago was seen as one of the pillars of the Mugabe dictatorship. So there's not a huge expectation that he's going to usher in a bright new future for a liberal, democratic, multi-party regime. However, he is also a very pragmatic politician, and he knows that he won't get the right amount or the sufficient foreign investment and interest unless he tries to establish some democratic credentials.
How are people in Zimbabwe reacting to all of this?
Well, I think people have described it as a quiet elation in the streets. No one's really celebrating because it's one faction of the establishment overthrowing another faction, that is the Robert Mugabe faction. What they are is hopeful that out of this elite fight, there will come a brighter day and a more open political system and a more functional economic system that will enable the country to realize its great potential.